Advanced English Arabic Learning Session 83. I've been in this sitch loads of times. A situation. He was panting and had a stitch. A sudden sharp pain in the side of the body, caused by strenuous exercise. The air was frigid, and spectators shivered against the cold. He had corked a mustache on his upper lip, draw with burnt cork. Seeing a person blind drunk is not an edifying sight. She had edified their childhood with frequent readings from Belloc. Old women told fortunes in grouts of tea, sediment, dregs, or grounds. I need to grout the bathroom tiles. Soak off the facing paper with a damp sponge, then grout the tiles. A wistful cherub of 18 months, photographed at her playgroup. They organized carpools to deliver the kids to school. If passengers traveled in carpools of 4, gasoline consumption would fall. Sage is an aromatic plant whose grayish-green leaves are used as a culinary herb. A portly little man with a bowler hat. The traditional wearing of bowler hats with city business attire declined during the 1970s. He is having a stout body, somewhat fat. He thought he might be able to heave the lifeboat in closer. She's a serious writer who frequently tackles social issues head-on. Farmhouse cheeses are dipped, dunked in wax or larded. Finally, through dumb luck, it worked and I got a network connection. His conversation is larded with quotations from Prophet. Embellish, talk or writing, with an excessive number of esoteric or technical expressions. Birthmarks were thought to be bruises left by elves. Elf. She admonished me for appearing at breakfast unshaven. To warn or reprimand someone firmly. Followers often embellish stories about their heroes. It's too much of a fag to drive all the way there and back again. He didn't have to fag away in a lab to get the right answer. To work hard, especially at a tedious task. She's got a fag in her gob, and she's squinting her eyes against the smoke. Richard was frequently frazzled by the conflicting demands of work and home. Families whose homes overlook a field that was frazzled by the fire feared that the flames would reach their houses. The annual exodus of sun-seeking Canadians to Florida. The chairman was accused of financial shenanigans. Hang her out to dry means to abandon her. By the 1760s, English cookery books were offering a bastardized version of French dishes. The Act of 1534 bastardized Princess Mary, declare, someone, illegitimate. Textastrophe means when you send a text to the wrong person on accident. The dogs started fawning on me. When a dog shows slavish devotion, especially by rubbing against someone, he's always fawning on his boss to try to get promoted. There was no shortage of people willing to fink on grass on their neighbors. Campaign started well, but fizzled out when they ran out of money. Lifebuoy is a buoyant support such as a life belt for keeping a person afloat in water. We wouldn't have dreamed of sassying our parents. Bloodied but unbowed, proud of what one has achieved. He gave out the psalm. Read the wordings of a hymn. Psalm allowed for congregational singing. He grassed on us and got us into a lot of trouble. I am gutted we couldn't celebrate your birthday this year, disappointed. I used a cloth to mop up the coffee I had knocked over. To remove a liquid that has been spilt. They are muscling into our market and there is very little we can do to stop them. A combustible gas. When in doubt, leave it out. If you are unsure what to do, it is best to do nothing at all. To keep the clutter out of your living spaces. Midwifery is a noisy job. Until it falls silent. An inquiry into stillbirths and deaths in infancy. Following a stillbirth, she had been told that she could not bear children. A beautiful cry will rend the still air. Sometimes we carry the mum to the edge of the abyss. The ashtray by the bed was crammed with cigarette butts. It's amazing how you've managed to cram everyone in. Lectures were called off so students could cram for the semester finals. We return the next day, weary and worn. It is an endlessly moldable subject. A heart-wrenching divorce. Those changes helped them pull off a nearly impossible Hollywood feat. They coalesced into a momentous and meaningful finale. One member almost vanished down a hidden disused mine shaft. Don't worry about lugging the kids to the salon with you. My expertise was once again required to sleuth out the culprit. A hodgepodge, combo, of family photos haphazardly arranged on a table. He would have to call her and tell her to stop paging him, contact someone, by means of a pager. Gurney, a wheeled stretcher used for transporting hospital patients. Stent, a substance used in dentistry for taking impressions of the teeth. He and his accomplices are beginning to lose the legal immunity they granted themselves. They forget that keeping silent in the face of injustice makes them accomplices of the criminals. They are accomplices of the dealer, a part of the swindle. They are accomplices to accomplish the swindle and reach complacency. You can't be complacent and accomplice in the murder in the same time. I'd rush the money over to his mall, a gangster's female companion. Something good was bound to happen, he could feel it in his bones. Auntie can work her fingers to the bone, but it's Miss Green that gets the thanks. The paper was thin and the edges were beginning to fray from age. She became absorbed, oblivious to the passage of time. Her sister was arraigned on charges of attempted murder. According to hearsay, Bez had managed to break his arm. Everything they had told him would have been ruled out as hearsay. Prawns changed their diet from plant plankton to animal plankton. Ernest and Callow undergraduates. Troops laid down a smokescreen to cover the rescue of the victims. Sardines and anchovies are worth the extra money if canned in olive oil. A romantic house in a wonderful setting beside the River Wye. The school had been broken into and the fire had been set. She soon recovered her composure, tottering into the restaurant clutching her friend's hand. She let the clutch and the car pushed forward. Why are some athletes able to perform in the clutch while others choke? You will stoop to any level to get me back to your clutches. Years of pumping iron have taken their toll on his body. She heard the Cambridge school bell utter a single toll. Worrywart, a person who tends to dwell unduly on difficulty or troubles. They recently nabbed a burglar inside the house he was ransacking. Leavened breads are forbidden during Passover. Freshmen performed better than either sophomores or juniors. Newswire, a service transmitting the latest news stories via satellite, the internet, etc. When you are out with your puppy, always have a tidbit in your pocket, a small piece of tasty food. I remember every pregnancy announcement felt like a dagger to me. Iran's fiddling with nuclear power makes the region and the world jittery. The inside of the appendix forms a cul-de-sac that usually opens into the large intestine. A cul-de-sac means, literally arse of the bag in French. Cul-de-sac or the bottom of a sack. It was first used in English in anatomy, then it was used for dead-end streets. She quipped that their active baby is definitely going to follow in their footsteps. They were accused of cheating, and 86th from their favorite casino. Hit the nail on the head. He was brought before the board to account for his behavior. Neither of you hotheads would listen to me when I asked you to stop this nonsense. The self-assured hubris among economists was shaken in the late 1980s. The wind was whipping up the downfall into deep drifts on the moor. The boxer knocked the tar out of his opponent. He finally relented to the truth with a foolish grin. A final image shows the pair casually leaning on a fence. She spent some time soaking in a hot bath, be immersed in water. Cold water was soaking into my shoes. Penetrate or permeate something completely. That would not soak the rich, it would soak the everyday guy struggling to stay afloat. I'm looking forward to a long soak in the bath. Use clean tissues to soak up any droplets of water, absorb a liquid. He has matured and is ready to take on new responsibilities. In order to laud the birth of Jesus Christ, many people celebrate Christmas. They enjoy participating in a wide variety of activities, both locally and farther afield. A markup is the amount added to the cost price of goods to cover overheads and profit. He discharged his resentment in the harmless form of memoirs. The insurer is discharged from liability from the day of breach. She courts publicity by inviting journalists to extravagant parties. Preconceived opinion that is not based on reason or actual experience. The punishment for sham marriages is usually imprisonment and deportation. I'll get a square deal if I work with that supplier, a fair deal. Settee is a long upholstered seat for more than one person. He has searched for work in a 10-mile radius around his home. Banquet for world leaders offers respite from fraught Russian summit. The player can expect a lengthy suspension for his latest misdemeanor. Isabella studied his quiet demeanor and honest profile for a few moments in silence. His demeanor suddenly changed from indulgent parent to barking hellion. Her demeanor changed from happy and excited to down and depressed within a second. His demeanor and commitment to being a protector make him appear distant and serious. The desolated exclusion zone surrounding the Fukushima nuclear power plant. All businesses with properties that have a rateable value above 12,000 must pay rates. The average superstore will see its rateable value fall by 5%. I chose that island as a vacation spot because I knew it was off the beaten track. We wanted to find a camping site that was a little bit off the beaten path. The farmhouse we stayed in was completely off the beaten track. People would go to fashionable watering places to drink the health-giving water. We are not talking about subtle errors of judgment, but major fumbles. The men who wield the power are certainly backing him to the hilt. Their brains are larger in absolute terms than those of chimps, but relative to body size. This is a country where reporters have to visit in the guise of tourists. The end. Coming next. Session 84.